Toronto, bus का tour, hop on hop off वाला tour
and all that. The 5 languages that are spoken the most in Toronto, well, English is number 1, but the second and third. Did you guys know that Yonge Street used to be in the Guinness World of Records? That's to be Toronto's most famous clock tower. It was built as part of Fire Hall number 3, but Fire Hall number 3 got burned down in a fire in 1939. And coming up on your right, it's going to be the One Bloor East building. It is a 76-story mixed-use skyscraper. We're now very close to the Mink Mile of Canada. The Mink Mile of Canada is on Bloor Street. And up on your right, the Yorkville Fire Station, one of the oldest active fire halls in the city of Toronto. And did you guys know that back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Yorkville used to be a very popular hippie district back in the day? Our old city hall, this is the 3rd city hall that was built in the city of Toronto. It was completed in now during the winter times, the reflective pool at Nathan Phillips Square becomes an ice rink for skating.
काफी खूबसूरत बिल्डिंग है ये सामने.
Back in the 1980s, the Toronto Entertainment District was also known as Clubland of Canada. It had over 100 nightclubs running at the time. When they come to Toronto, they would stay in because it has a bulletproof suite, and it's the only hotel in Toronto with a bulletproof suite. So, the CN Tower is 553 meters tall, but it is a reservation-only restaurant. You can only reserve it at the CN Tower website. And the largest viewing glass tunnel in North America. With the Toronto Islands, so up on your right, the beautiful view of Lake Ontario with the Toronto Islands. There it is. Open in the summer and spring seasons of the year. All residential areas, a lot of homes, even schools there. And the hint of what that one word is, where do we all live in? You know you're a tourist when you say Queens Quay. Same thing goes for Toronto. A lot of tourists, when they come to Toronto, they pronounce Arena. The Scotiabank Arena is home to our NHL hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the 5 major banks in Canada, the 5th largest bank in Canada. All right. So we're now at the financial district of Canada, the financial heart of Canada, home to our major banks and most prominent firms. See above the main entrance of the Art Gallery of Ontario. This is called the Galleria d'Italia. And the largest collection of Roman artifacts outside of Rome, Italy, and the largest collection of dinosaur bones in Canada.
वेलकम टू अगली एंड ट्रैवलिंग. खुश आमदीद जी एन और बखैर अगले. मैं इस वक्त मौजूद हूँ टोरंटो के डाउनटाउन यंग डंडा स्क्वायर में, जहाँ से ये बस डिपार्ट कर रही है सिटी टूर के लिए. तो आज मैं आपको यहाँ का सिटी टूर कराऊँगा बस के ज़रिए कि बस से सिटी कैसे नज़र आती है. तो मैं बातें कम करूँगा और व्लॉग ज़्यादा बनाने की कोशिश करूँगा, व्यूज़ दिखाने की कोशिश करूँगा.
Sure. Thank you. It was it changed its name in 2021. It was formerly known as Ryerson University. Now it first started off as the Ryerson Institute of Technology in 1948, and in 2014 it won the award as the best university in Canada for undergraduate research. Now, Isidore Sharp, the one who founded Four Seasons Hotel and Residence, we're going to be passing by on Yorkville. He actually graduated from the Toronto Metropolitan University campus in the 1960s. So we're now going to be going. Did you guys know that the 5 languages that are spoken the most in Toronto? Well, English is number 1, but the second and third most spoken languages in the city of Toronto is actually Mandarin and Cantonese. Then the 4th most spoken language in the city of Toronto is an Indian language called Tamil from India. And 5th language is Spanish. So those are the 5 languages that are spoken the most in Toronto. English and French are 2 national languages of Canada, but French is nowhere near the top 5 most spoken languages in the city of Toronto. French is actually number 13th in the city of Toronto. But if you go to Montreal and Quebec, French will be number 1 over there. And then after Spanish, it is followed closely at 6, Italian. 7 is Hindi, also from India. And 8 is Russian. Those are the most spoken languages in the city of Toronto. Toronto has a population of over 6 million people, approximately. And just so you know, guys, just a very special announcement. This is the last bus, so this is the last bus of the day, the last tour of the day. So if you hop off anywhere, there will not be any other buses coming back. So just so you know, it's the last bus. We got branches on the right, guys. Please be careful. And we're now going to be going back to Yonge Street. Did you guys know that Yonge Street used to be in the Guinness World of Records? That's the longest street in the world. But because they renovated Yonge Street a little bit up north, they made Highway 11. So Yonge Street would stop and start back again in a different lane. They took the Guinness of World Records down. But Yonge Street is still one of the longest streets in the world. It's a total of 1,896 kilometers long. It will take you a total of 6 days to travel off Yonge Street by car. And it goes all the way into the Minnesota-Ontario border. So it goes all the way north. You don't have to go all the way north just to get to the United States of America. If we travel 150 kilometers southwest of Toronto, we will hit Niagara Falls. And that will be the border between Niagara in Canada and Niagara in the USA into the state of New York. Now coming up on your left, guys, it's going to be Toronto's most famous clock tower. It was built as part of Fire Hall number 3, but Fire Hall number 3 got burned down in a fire in 1939, leaving only the clock tower and a single wall. It is now protected under the Ontario Heritage Act and is being incorporated into a condominium on site. So up on your left, Toronto's most famous clock tower that survived the fire of 1939. And in the glass wall up on your left, we can see a drawing of what Fire Hall number 3 used to look like. So we're now on our way to bus stop number 2 for Wellesley and Yonge. Is anyone hopping off of bus stop number 2 for Wellesley and Yonge? Wellesley and Yonge? No? We're all staying in the bus? All right, no stop requests. Now, Wellesley and Yonge is very close to Church and Wellesley. Did you guys know that Church and Wellesley is home to The Village? It is Toronto's largest LGBTQ plus neighborhood and community. Canada also has the largest celebration of LGBTQ plus culture in the world, known as Pride. It lasts the entire month of June. Straight ahead again, we're now passing Wellesley and Yonge. Now, if you look up on your right, if you start walking 10 minutes to your right, a couple blocks to your right, you will hit Church and Wellesley. It's home to The Village. So we're now going to be passing by the CAA Theater pretty soon. Now the CAA Theater, it was formerly known as the Panasonic Theater. It got renamed the CAA Theater in December of 2017. It is a 700-seat theater, but it's also part of the Mirvish Productions Company. So up on your right, the CAA Theater. There it is, the CAA Theater up on your right. Now coming up on your right is the oldest postal office in the city of Toronto. It is now renovated to be a McDonald's, a very pretty McDonald's, I must say. It is also protected by the Ontario Heritage Act. And coming up on your right, it's going to be the One Bloor East building. It is a 76-story mixed-use skyscraper. It was completed in 2017. It got through numerous developers between 2005 to 2009, all proposing a different height, ranging from 60 to 91 stories. In the end, it was 76 stories, what they went for. So up on your right, the One Bloor East building, a 76-story mixed-use skyscraper. We're now very close to the Mink Mile of Canada. The Mink Mile of Canada is on Bloor Street. We're almost at Yonge and Bloor, but the Mink Mile is very comparable to Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles, Fifth Avenue in New York City, and the Magnificent Mile in Chicago. It is the most expensive retail strip in Canada and 7th most expensive in the world today, home to many high-end retail shops known as Prada, Tiffany & Co., Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Audrey & Froux, Hermes, Cartier, Aritzia, and many more. Now, if you look up on your right, you can see that there has been a change in color to our sidewalks. That is because Mongolian granite sidewalks were installed for the Mink Mile of Canada. Each slab weighing 400 tons and is specifically tuned to 466 hertz. It is specifically designed for high heels to make a very hard clacking sound when walking. So because of the 466 hertz, it is considered to be the perfect sound for high heels. And the Mongolian granite sidewalks are put all across the Mi'kmaq of Canada, the most expensive retail strip in Canada. So as we go on Bloor Street, up on your left, we can see a view of the Big Mile of Canada. So here we are, up on the left, we can see one of the views of the Big Mile of Canada, up on your left. Now we're now going to be passing the Toronto Reference Library. The Toronto Reference Library is one of the 3 largest libraries in the city of Toronto. Special collections include the Arthur Conan Doyle collection, which is the author of Sherlock Holmes. And up on your right, the Toronto Reference Library, there it is. It was designed by Raymond Moriyama, one of the best designers in the world, who also designed our Bata Shoe Museum as well. It is a Toronto Reference Library because you can only reference the books and text while inside the library. You cannot take them out. And did you guys know that The Weeknd actually filmed one of his music videos in the Toronto Reference Library? He filmed his music video Secrets in 2017. If you don't know who The Weeknd is, he's a famous Canadian hip-hop artist, internationally known now, an R&B singer, and one of my favorite singers. So we're now going to be going to bus stop number 3, Yorkville. Is anyone going to be hopping off at bus stop number 3 for Yorkville? No? We're all staying on the bus? All right, no stop requests. Now Yorkville is an affluent neighborhood filled with many residential areas, office space, and an array of luxurious shopping options, including one of Canada's most exclusive shopping districts, the Mink Mile. It is Toronto's first commuter suburb, Yorkville. So we're now going to Yorkville. There we go. And coming up on your right, this used to be where the Yorkville Town Hall used to be located. But guess what happened to it? It burnt down. We got some branches, sir. Please be careful. And up on your right, the Yorkville Fire Station, one of the oldest active fire halls in the city of Toronto. Construction began in 1876 and was completed in 1878. And up on your right, it's going to be the Four Seasons Hotel and Residence. The hotel features a variety of elegant rooms, a private bar, and a safe that can store up to 15 laptops. Founded by Isidore Sharp, this hotel opened in 1961. He innovated the hotel industry by being one of the first to introduce complimentary shampoo, 24-hour room service, and same-day clothes pressing and cleaning. Not a big deal today because a lot of hotels feature this, but back in the 1960s, it was considered to be a very big deal. And the Four Seasons Hotel and Residence, up on your right, was one of the first hotels to offer the service in the world. Now, because Yorkville goes hand in hand with the Mi'kmaq of Canada, as we go further down Yorkville, we're going to be seeing lots of high-end retail shops on our way. Up on the right, we're going to be seeing Kith, Chanel, Balenciaga, Versace. On our left, we're going to be seeing Christian Louboutin, City Luxe, and Veronica Beard. And did you guys know that back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Yorkville used to be a very popular hippie district back in the day. But because of gentrification and the Bloor subway being built, property values started skyrocketing in Yorkville. It started becoming very expensive to live in Yorkville. It started becoming more of a high-end district in Toronto, just like it is today. So what did the hippies do? The hippies, they actually had to move out. When they moved out, they took over Kensington Market. When it was a very popular hippie district back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, a lot of artists came out here. For example, Neil Young and Jonah Mitchell. Now, Yorkville hosted the Toronto International Film Festival up until 2009. And after 2009, the Toronto International Film Festival that happens every year in the month of September moved to the Toronto Entertainment District that we're going to be passing by pretty soon. But Yorkville hosted the festival up until 2009.
ये धूप सामने फेस कर रही है इसलिए व्यू सही नहीं आ रहा आई थिंक नो प्रॉब्लम आई होप आपको व्लॉग अच्छा लग रहा होगा टोरंटो सिटी का अगर चैनल पर नहीं आए हैं तो प्लीज़
चैनल Yorkville is also a district that belongs to the Annex as well, which is one of Toronto's elite and upper class neighborhoods. We're going to be passing the main Annex pretty soon. But Yorkville is a district that belongs to the Annex.
इसकी टिकट मुझे पड़ी है अराउंड $67 टैक्स के साथ। 24 आवर्स के लिए वैलिड होती है टिकट के इस बस की, सिटी टूर की। आई थिंक विंटर्स में ये बसेस नहीं होती, तो मैंने सोचा मैं चांस ग्रैब कर लेता हूँ क्योंकि अभी मौसम अच्छा है, विंटर्स बस आने वाली हैं। तो मैंने सोचा एक वीडियो मैं इसकी भी बना देता हूँ। विंटर्स में शायद ये बस ना हो, सिटी में रन ना करती हो, तो इसलिए अभी मैं इसका एक व्लॉग बना रहा हूँ। उम्मीद है आपको पसंद आ रहा होगा। टोरंटो सिटी का व्लॉग बस के ज़रिए, सिटी साइड की जो बस होती है टूरिज़म के लिए, उसकी बस से ये व्लॉग मैं आपके लिए बना रहा हूँ। आगे जाके देखते हैं ये कौन कौन से स्पॉट्स और दिखाएंगे टोरंटो सिटी के इस बस के ज़रिए। अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये CN टावर के पास नहीं जा रही क्योंकि वहाँ पे एक एग्ज़िबिशन चल रही है, तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा ट्रैफिक है, उस वजह से ये लोग CN टावर का स्पॉट मिस करने वाले हैं इस राइड में।
Coming up on your right, where the Chanel is located, up on your right, this used to be where the Mount Sinai. This used to be the original location of the Mount Sinai Hospital, and the Mount Sinai Hospital is in University Avenue. They have a much more bigger hospital, but back in the day, the original location was in Yorkville, where the Chanel is. Now it's a Chanel, and now the Mount Sinai Hospital is in University Avenue. They've been there a while now. But the highest amount of maternity ward in the city of Toronto, so the highest amount of babies that are born in the city of Toronto, are born from the Mount Sinai Hospital. Now coming up on your right, it's going to be the Hazelton Hotel. It is considered to be the first 5-star hotel in Toronto. It opened within days of the 2007 Toronto International Film Festival. Due to the frequency of celebrity guests, you may only enter the lobby and floors if you have a reservation. They won't allow you to the lobby and floors if you don't have a reservation. And here's up on the right, that's Hazelton Hotel. And there's a lot of celebrities when they come to Toronto. Most of the time they'll stay at the Hazelton Hotel. Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, Ryan Reynolds, The Weeknd, Taylor Swift, Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Affleck. Even Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez have all stayed at the Hazelton Hotel at one time. It is very popular in the Toronto International Film Festival. Happens every year in the month of September. Because a lot of those actors that come for the festival, they would also stay most of the time at the Hazelton Hotel. So during the month of September, regular people will come to Yorkville to stargaze, not to stargaze to look up at the stars, but to stargaze to look for their favorite actor and celebrity and try to get their autograph. Yeah. Is anyone going to be hopping off about? I know just so you know, guys, the Royal Ontario Museum is closed. It closes at 5. But is anyone going to be hopping off at bus stop number 4 for a hotel nearby or something else? Bus stop number 4, U15? No, we're all staying in the bus. All right, no stop requests. And up on your right, it's going to be the Park Hyatt Hotel, formerly known as the Queen's Park Plaza Hotel. It opened in the 1920s. But did you guys know that the inn of the hotel used to be a favorite spot for a lot of young men and travelers looking for a place to drink back in the day? And up on your left, it's going to be the Church of the Redeemer. It is one of the oldest churches in Canada. It goes back to the 1800s. It is an Anglican church, but it was the first church in Canada to allow, accept, promote, and perform same-sex marriages. Until this day, it continues to advocate for and be inclusive of the LGBTQ plus community. So up on your left, the Church of the Redeemer. And up on your left, as we pass Bloor Street, we're going to be seeing another beautiful view of the Mink Mile of Canada, the most expensive retail strip in Canada, 7th most expensive in the world today. And there it is up on your left. We got Louis Vuitton, Cartier, Tiffany & Co. all in one shot. And we're now going to be passing by the Royal Ontario Museum, the largest museum in Canada, and one of the largest museums in North America, the 5th largest in North America. Every year, the Royal Ontario Museum attracts more than 1 million visitors, making the Royal Ontario Museum the most visited museum in Canada. It has over 13 million natural artifacts, agricultural artifacts, and natural history specimens. Here's on your left, the Royal Ontario Museum. It has the largest collection of Chinese architectural artifacts outside of China, and the largest collection of Roman artifacts outside of Rome, Italy, and the largest collection of dinosaur bones in Canada. And coming up on your left, it's going to be the Royal Conservatory of Music. It is one of the largest and most respected music institutions in the world today. Shania Twain, Sarah McLachlan, all graduated from the Royal Conservatory of Music. Just so you know, there's going to be more branches once we
I will be, yeah.
turn right on
Thank
our
you
left.
so much.
So just
Sure,
yeah.
thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. And up on your left, guys, it is the University of Toronto Varsity Blues Stadium, also known as the Varsity Arena. It is the stadium for the University of Toronto's American football team and also their soccer team and track and field. But the Varsity Blues, did you guys know that the Varsity Blues hold the Canadian record for the most consecutive losses? That's right, between 2001 to 2008, they lost 49 games in a row. But it was on September 1st at 2008 that they beat the Waterloo Warriors with less than a minute to go. They threw a giant pizza party up on the street, but then they were partying too hard that they lost again the next game, 36-0. Now, did you guys know that the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival Festival was hosted in the Varsity Arena in September of 1969? It featured many artists like Chuck Berry, The Doors, Chicago, and Alice Cooper. It was the first concert performance by the Plastic Ono Band, which was Yoko Ono, John Lennon, and Eric Clapton on guitar. And on September 6, 1976, the band Kiss came to perform at the Varsity Arena.
ये अभी ऑलमोस्ट मिड टाउन में पहुंच गए हैं, डाउनटाउन से थोड़ा दूर है, बाहर है ये जगह।
Go ahead.
समर में ग्रीनरी काफ़ी होती है इस सिटी में, विंटर्स में
Copy that again.
पत्ता भी नहीं होता।
So we got branches on the right, guys. Please be careful.
What is your location?
वो बार बार मुझे याद करा रहा है ब्रांचेस
We're going to Casaloma. We got branches on the right, guys. Please be careful.
अच्छा, मुझे नहीं याद करा रहा, सबको याद करा रहा है। मैं सोचा मुझे याद करा रहा है क्योंकि ब्रांचेस काफ़ी निकली हुई हैं, मेंटेनेंस नहीं की आई थिंक। ये मोर लाइक रेजिडेंशियल एरिया है, टूरिस्ट के लिए नहीं है।
All right, guys. So we're now going to be going to Casaloma. We're going to be taking a different detour because they're doing construction on Bloor Street. So yeah, Casaloma became a tourist attraction in 1937, but it was once the largest private residence in Canada. And Casaloma is Toronto's only famous castle, but it's still not considered to be an actual castle because of technicality. No one from the royal family has ever lived there. So apparently someone from the royal family has to live in a castle in order to be considered a castle. But I say if it looks like a castle, if it breathes like a castle, it should be called a castle, yeah. We still call it a castle anyway. Now, Casaloma translates in Spanish as house on a hill because that is exactly what it is. It's a very big house on a hill. Now, Casaloma was built in 1905 by Sir Henry Mill Pallet. He built it as a gift for his wife, Lady Mary. He was also inspired by the sudden rise of land as he climbed up the hill and saw Lake Ontario, so he purchased the 25 lots. Now, Casaloma's original budget back in the day was around $250,000, but they ended up spending $3.5 million back in the day. That's an equivalent to how many? That is equivalent. No, they ended up spending $3.5 million back in the day. That's an equivalent to almost $65 million today. A regular house back in the day would only cost you $2,500. So you see how pricey Casaloma was built. Now, the towers we're going to be seeing in Casaloma are the Norman and Scottish Towers. And Casaloma is now owned by the City of Toronto, and it's run by the Liberty Entertainment Group. So it's more in line with the museum these days. Now, because it was a very expensive house to build, what Sir Henry Pallet did, he actually used a technique where he actually asked every citizen of Toronto to bring him a stone for him to use to build Casaloma. And in return for every stone that was brought, he would give $1 to every citizen who brought him one stone. Now, $1 back in the day was equivalent to almost $25 today, and a lot of things were cheaper back in the day as well, so you can get lots of things with $1. So let's say someone brought 3 stones, that'll be $3. But there was this little boy, his name was Little Tommy. He was a poor boy. He did not know what stone to pick out for Henry Pallet, so he picked out a white stone. And people were making fun of him, saying that his white stone was ugly, that no one was going to accept this white stone. So as he reached Casaloma crying, Then he saw one of the gardeners, and the gardener asked him, "Why are you crying, little boy? People are making fun of me. They're calling my stone ugly. No one's going to accept my stone, and I really need it." But it turns out that it turns out that the gardener was actually Henry Powlett himself. Now, Henry Powlett, he thought his stone was really unique. He told little Tommy that they would love to use the white stone for the front entrance of his home. To this day, that white stone is still there by the original entrance of Casa Loma. But Henry Powlett gave little Tommy $5 in return for the white stone. The $5 is equivalent to almost equivalent to almost $200 today. That was the first richest little boy in the city of Toronto, little Tommy. Yeah.
ये है डूपॉन्ट स्ट्रीट. इस एरिया में मैं रह रहा हूँ आजकल. डूपॉन्ट स्ट्रीट के पास ही. यहाँ से 5 मिनट की वॉक होगी, I think.
So we're now going to be passing through the annex. Now the district of Yorkville that we passed earlier is also part of the annex. Also Feeding Village down by Bathurst is also part of the annex as well. It's a whole section of districts that form the annex. We're going to be passing the main annex, but the main annex is not just one street, it's a whole section of streets as well.
कोई भी रास्ता नहीं दे रहा.
Spadina, Tupon, and many more. Now, the annex is one of Toronto's elite and upper-class neighborhoods, but you may ask yourself, how could this be a rich neighborhood, since most of the houses look older? That is because the annex residents are keen on preserving the neighborhood's history. In the 1930s, the Annex Residents Association was established, and they continued to preserve and improve the distinctive character of the annex. The neighborhood is characterized by its large Edwardian and Victorian homes, all built between 1886 and 1910 for the city's wealthiest citizens. And did you guys know that Ryan Reynolds, one of our famous Canadian actors, David Suzuki, the environmentalist, Margaret Atwood, the writer of The Handmaid's Tale, Rachel McAdams, one of our famous Canadian actresses, all lived in the annex at one time and called it home. Ryan Reynolds' rent up at the annex would be around $13,900 a month to take care of. Wow. Ano opinion sila Ryan Reynolds? He's previously from Vancouver, British Columbia, but actually lived in Toronto for a bit while he was starting his acting career, while he was a struggling actor. You can catch Ryan Reynolds in the movie Deadpool and Wolverine that just came out a few weeks ago. I saw it twice, gonna be seeing it third time's the charm, Deadpool and Wolverine. Now the annex is also named after E.J. Lennox. Now E.J. Lennox, he practically built Toronto. He designed over 70 buildings in Toronto, including our old City Hall that we're going to be passing by pretty soon. What E.J. Lennox also did was he combined the Victorian and Edwardian architecture and made it smaller, and it became known as the Annex architecture. We're going to be cutting a bridge just so you know what's turn right now. Alright guys, we're now going to be passing a bridge, so please remain seated, do not stand up. Please also try not to touch the bridge. Sharp objects on the roof. We are clear to pass the bridge. We are clear. Now E.J. Lennox also designed one of the biggest homes in Toronto, also known as a castle, also known as a mansion. That's right guys. E.J. Lennox is the designer of Casa Loma that we're starting to see up in the distance. We're starting to see the Norman and Scottish towers of Casa Loma. Straight ahead on the left hand side a little bit. Oh no, guys. Okay, it looks good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got scared there for a little second, guys. Now straight ahead, we can also see the Baldwin Steps. They are a public outdoor staircase located in the city of Toronto, dating back to the 19th century. It is one of the entrances into Casa Loma. And did you guys know that the Baldwin Steps are iconic for appearing in the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels, as well as its film adaptation, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, with Canadian star Michael Cera. It's also a great place to do some exercising, going up and down those steps. I did it once. I went up. I went out of breath. I had to sit down. Yeah. So straight ahead, we can see the Baldwin Steps. So is there any, just so you know guys, Casa Loma does close at 5, but is anyone hopping off for parking or some other stuff? No? All right. No stop requests? Now, Casa Loma has 98 rooms, 59 telephones, 30 washrooms, 25 fireplaces, 2 secret passageways are used for escape rooms of Casa Loma. A lot of fun, the escape rooms, I definitely recommend. It has 1,500 acres of gardens. It has 3 bowling alleys, 2 unfinished ones, the one that's completely finished. It has an oven big enough to cook an entire ox, and the tunnel system of Casa Loma leads you to a hunting lodge, carriage, and stables of Casa Loma, so it's a very big place. And up on your right, we're going to be seeing the white stone little Tommy brought to Henry Pallet. There it is, the white stone up on your right by the original entrance of Casa Loma.
No stop, right?
Nope, no stop request. We are now at the Casa Loma campus of George Brown College. This campus is very well known for nursery, childcare, and construction and engineering. So we're now going to be going through the Disney view of Casa Loma. It is considered to be the Disney view of Casa Loma because the Norman and Scottish towers resemble Disney World and the view. There's going to be 2 Disney views of Casa Loma all coming up on your left-hand side pretty soon. So you guys want to get your phones ready, feel free. Let's go slow on the Disney view. So coming up on your left, it is the first Disney view of Casa Loma. There it is, up on your left, the first Disney view of Casa Loma. And up on your left, just up from the set of trees, it's going to be the second Disney view of Casa Loma. There it is, up on your left, the second Disney view. There it is. So we're going to be passing the bridge again. Please remain seated, guys. Do not stand up.
Bridge.
We are here to pass the bridge.
मैं खड़ा होता हूँ तो ब्रिज आ जाता है ये यहाँ का stop.
So we're now on Spadina or Spadina. If you're wondering about the pronunciation, both are correct. In today's time, we say Spadina. But back in the day, the upper class will call it Spadina, and the working class will call it Spadina. So we mean who the working class and who the upper class of society. Now they would just pronounce the street name, Spadina. Unfortunately, the upper class saying is Spadina did not stick. The working class became victorious in that matter, and that's why in today's time we always say Spadina. Both pronunciations are correct, guys. If you're going to call Spadina, Spadina, feel free. Now this is also part of the annex as well, so we're in the Spadina part of the annex as well. Just want to Toronto Elite and upper class neighborhoods. So just so you know, guys, bus stop number 7 is out of service because of construction. So the bus, technically the Balashu Museum is closed anyway at 5 p.m. But is anyone going to be hopping off for a hotel nearby? Or for bus stop number 6, anyone going to be hopping off at bus stop number 6? No, we're all staying in the bus? All right, no stop request at bus stop number 6. Now, a lot of movies have been filmed in Casa Loma over the years, so it's been a very popular film destination. Movies like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World with Canadian star Michael Cera, a lot of the X-Men movies, The Tuxedo with Jackie Chan. One of the most recent movies that was filmed in Casa Loma was Beauty and the Beast, the live-action version with Emma Watson and Luke Evans. They actually have a wax museum dedicated to all the actors and stars that have been in Casa Loma filming their films. They'll have a wax figure of Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, Emma Watson, and so on. If you guys visit Casa Loma in the future, I definitely recommend visiting their wax museum. Also, outside of the cafeteria, in the hallway, is decorated with all the movie posters and movie clips of all the different movies and TV shows that have been filmed in Casa Loma over the years. Now, Henry Pallet, he was responsible for bringing hydroelectricity to the city of Toronto. So for a time he did this, he actually owned his own hydroelectricity company. He would charge every home for electricity, just like we do today. At one time, Henry Pallet was one of the most wealthiest citizens in Toronto. He was actually the first employer to employ a chauffeur, a driver in the city of Toronto. And while he was living in Casa Loma, only 3 people lived there actually. So it was Henry Pallet, his son, and his wife, because Henry Pallet did not have any other family members living in his home while he was living there. So it's an entire mansion, an entire castle for just 3 people. You could easily get lost there back in the day, Casa Loma. Yeah. And up on your left, guys, it is the Madison Manor Boutique Hotel. This hotel is very well known for its pub, with the Madison Avenue pub. That's actually the largest pub in the city of Toronto. But because there's a lot of schools in the area, Casa Loma campus of George Brown College, University of Toronto Schools, University of Toronto campus, most of the students, they would congregate in this area, and they would go to that specific pub, the Madison Avenue pub, to party and drink back in the day. Now, after the lights on the right-hand side, we can see the Miles Nadal Jewish Community Center, also home to the Green Theater. And after the lights on the left-hand side, it's going to be the University of Toronto Schools. Now, University of Toronto Schools, it does belong to University of Toronto, but it's not the actual campus, not the actual university. It is actually a preparatory school from grades 7 to 12. So elementary and high school, but it's also a private school as well. But did you guys know that it's considered to be the most competitive school in Toronto? And only 25% of applicants gain admission to this school. And as the grades go up, the acceptance rate goes down tremendously. So you may be able to get into grade 7, but if you don't do well, you might not be able to get into grade 8. Or maybe if you do well, you might not be able to get into grade 8. It's a very competitive school in Toronto. And up on your left, the University of Toronto Schools. There it is. And one of our former mayors, John Tory, graduated from the University of Toronto Schools. He's no longer the mayor of Toronto anymore, but he used to be John Tory. So John Tory apparently was very, very smart. And one of our famous Canadian actors, Simu Liu, also graduated from the University of Toronto Schools as well. Now, Simu Liu, he started in a show called Kim's Convenience, and after that, he was scouted by Marvel to be the legendary Shang-Chi. After all the intellectual exposure, it was in the Barbie movie last year as the second Kang to Ryan Gosling's Kang. Ryan Gosling is also Canadian, but Simu Liu was born and raised in Toronto, so he's considered to be Toronto's newest star. And he also graduated from the University of Toronto Schools. So now we are not going to be passing by the University of Toronto campus, the actual university this time. Yes, the actual university. Now the University of Toronto campus is one of the best public universities in the world, and it's Canada's top university. It is also Toronto's largest university. There are 3 campuses at the University of Toronto campus. This is going to be the St. George campus, the one we're going to be going through in the downtown area. The other 2 campuses are in the Scarborough area of Toronto and the city of Mississauga. The city of Mississauga is part of the Greater Toronto area. And up on your left, we can see the University of Toronto campus. There it is. It is the 10th most competitive university to get into in the world. And it was founded in the year 1827 as King's College by the Church of England and the colonial establishment. So it's a very old university. It goes back to the days we were not Canada yet, to the days we were still a British colony known as Upper Canada. In 1850, University of Toronto became non-denominational, and it was renamed from King's College, University of Toronto, in 1850. And in 1884, a woman was allowed to attend the university for the very first time in 1884. Nowadays, the University of Toronto campus has over 280 graduate programs in a wide variety of fields, and it has more than 800 student-run organizations in all 3 campuses. It has 7,774 staff members and 168 librarians. It has students from all over the world, from 160 countries and regions. And in 2020 to 2021 alone, the University of Toronto campus had over 95,000 students across all the 3 campuses. It also has the 3rd largest library system in North America, with 44 libraries, 5.8 million electronic holdings, and 19.5 million physical holdings. It also has been a very important research university, where a lot of discoveries have been made here throughout the years that have benefited humanity over the time. So they discovered the existence of wormholes. They made improvements to the electron microscope. They basically invented the touchscreen technology that we have on our phones, computers, laptops, and all that, because they developed the first prototype of the touchscreen technology. One of their biggest discoveries was insulin for the treatment of diabetes. So in 1921, researchers from the University of Toronto campus, they discovered insulin for the treatment of diabetes. That's why in 1922, the Toronto General Hospital conducted the first clinical use of insulin for the treatment of diabetes in the world. It was all thanks to researchers from U of T campus that discovered insulin in 1921. And up on your left, we can see the John P. Roberts Research Library. It is the largest library in the University of Toronto campus. It is also shaped as a peacock. So up on your left, we can see the head of the leg and feathers of the peacock. And as we saw the head of the peacock as well, but as we go further down, we can see the tail and the head as well. So the body just flashes out to you. It's also one of the 3 largest libraries in the city of Toronto, with the Toronto Reference Library, the one we passed earlier, one of the other ones. And Scott Library at York University, the other one. This completes the 3 largest libraries in the city of Toronto. The John P. Roberts Research Library, also the largest library in the University of Toronto campus. It was also built in the style of brutalist architecture. That's why it was voted as one of the ugliest buildings in Toronto. Yeah. Now, in 1938, the first electron microscope was invented in the University of Toronto campus by Cecil Hall, James Hillier, and A. Priebus. In 1941, the first G-suit was also invented at the University of Toronto campus. G-suit as in G-force. Now, this pressure suit allowed fighter pilots to carry out high-speed maneuvers without losing consciousness. The suits that are used by astronauts in today's time are heavily influenced by Wilbur Frank's G-suit that was invented in 1941. Now, in 1982, a researcher known as Nimish Mehta, he developed the first prototype of the touchscreen technology that we have today. It was called a flexible machine interface. It allowed the user to draw simple graphics by just pressing the machine with fingers. So it was a complete development for the touchscreen technology. So Nimish Mehta was one of the first to pave the way for that technology to exist. It's all thanks to him that we have our touchscreen technology in our phones, computers, laptops, and all that. Now, the University of Toronto campus has also been a very important film destination for a lot of movies and TV shows to be filmed at, often standing in for Ivy League schools such as Harvard and Yale. Did you guys know that Harvard does not allow any filming to take place in their schools because they say it distracts their students? So most film companies do when they need Harvard. Most of the time they will come to Canada and film in the U of T campus and showcase U of T as Harvard in their films. It is also a lot cheaper to film in Canada because of the tax incentives. So a lot of studios do come to Canada and film here. 25% of the film industry, that's 25%, is actually shot in Canada. That's why Toronto and Vancouver are known as Hollywood North. Movies that were shot in the U of T campus include Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, Legally Blonde, Mean Girls from 2004 with Lindsay Lohan. Popular TV shows include The Umbrella Academy, Teen Titans, Law and Order, Suits, and The Boys. So we're now on our way to bus stop number 8 for AGO, Chinatown, and Kensington Market. Is anyone going to be hopping off at bus stop number 8? No? All right. Just make sure, guys, there is no bus coming back, guys. No bus coming back. This is the last bus, last tour of the day. No. Any last calls? No. No, we have no stop requests. And up on your right, guys, you're going to be getting a glimpse of Chinatown. Up on your right, the glimpse of Chinatown. There it is.
Chinatown.
Chinatown is where you can find the most ethnic science of any neighborhood in the city of Toronto, including Little Italy and Koreatown. And up on your right is the Art Gallery of Ontario, one of the largest art museums in North America, with a collection of over 95,000 artworks spanning from 2,000 years to the present time. The beautiful glass and timber section that we can see above the main entrance of the Art Gallery of Ontario. This is called the Galleria d'Italia because it was named after the 26 Italian families who each contributed $500,000 to the project. The Galleria d'Italia is 405 feet or 123.44 meters. So it's a very big glass and timber section above the main entrance of the Art Gallery of Ontario. And up on your right, we can see Jumbo the elephant from the movie Jumbo. There he is in his prime of a unique sculpture on the side of the Art Gallery of Ontario. And up on your right, it's also going to be OCAD University campus, the top and largest university in Canada for art, design, and media. There it is up on your right. It stands for the Ontario College of Art and Design University. Now, the Art Gallery of Ontario was founded in the year 1900 as the Art Museum of Toronto, and then by 1919 it became the Art Gallery of Toronto, and by 1966 it got renamed one more time as the Art Gallery of Ontario. It has stayed the Art Gallery of Ontario ever since. It does around 20 art exhibitions throughout the year. It has artwork from famous artists like Picasso, Monet, Dali, Jojo Keefe, Rembrandt, and a group of 7. And up on your right is a very special police station. In this very own police station in 2014, Justin Bieber turned himself in after a fight with his driver. So Justin Bieber was arrested and interrogated in this very own police station in 2014. Yeah. Yeah.
How many people do I have upstairs?
16.
How many?
16.
16?
Yeah. So as we pass University Avenue, up on your left, we're going to be seeing a great view of the Ontario Legislative Building. So up on your left, we can see the Ontario Legislative Building on Queen's Park. There it is up on your left. That's where the Premier of Ontario makes decisions. It is also where the Premier of Ontario makes the laws for the province of Ontario, since Toronto is the capital city of the province of Ontario. Go ahead. Now the entire
Location?
we're going to bus stop number 9. Now the entire legislative building is also known as a
Alright, copy that.
Now the entire legislative building is also known as the Pink Palace because pink sandstone was used to build it. Now Toronto is the capital city of the province of Ontario, but it is not the capital city of Canada. So if you guys are looking for the capital city of Canada, that'll be 500 kilometers northeast of Toronto. A city called Ottawa is the capital city of Canada, which also resides in the province of Ontario. Now after the lights on the left-hand side, it's going to be Atrium on Bay. There it is, Atrium on Bay. Now Atrium on Bay is one of the entrances into the path. The path is an underground pathway filled with stores and restaurants. It is heavily used in the winter times because it gets really cold in Toronto. So a lot of people like to go through the path and they skip the cold. Our current City Hall. This is the 4th City Hall that was built in the city of Toronto. It was completed in 1965, and in 1965 it attracted over 75,000 visitors to our City Hall for the opening. And up on your right, the building features 2 curved towers of asymmetrical heights that cradle the Oyster Council chambers. When you view it from above, it does look like an eye. That's why it got the nickname, the Eye of the Government. And after the lights on the left-hand side, it's our old City Hall. This is the 3rd City Hall that was built in the city of Toronto. It was completed built by the man himself, E.J. Lennox, who designed over 70 buildings in Toronto, including Casa Loma. Now, E.J. Lennox, he designed and built our old City Hall between the years of 1989 to 1880, between the years of 1889 to 1899. So it's a full 10-year period. Now, E.J. Lennox, he built it in a way to combine a city hall and a courthouse. That's why nowadays it is the courthouse for the Ontario government. That's what it's used for nowadays. Stop on your left, our old City Hall, the 3rd City Hall that was built in the city of Toronto. Is anyone going to be hopping off at bus stop number 9 for Nathan Phillips Square? Bus stop number 9? No? We're all staying in the bus? All right, no stop request. Now the clock tower of our old City Hall that we see on our left, it first rang in the year 1900 on December 31st at midnight, marking the turn of the century. It has rang ever since. And up on your right, we get a better view of our City Hall because when you're passing in on Bay Street, it looked like it did not have windows, but it does have windows. The windows are just in the inner part of the towers. Number 10, yeah. So after this one. Yeah. The hotel, Fairmont? Fairmont Royal Hotel? Yes, it'll be, but technically it's bus stop number 11, but because we don't, after 2:30 we don't stop
मैंने
there.
इस व्लॉग में थोड़ी भी कटिंग नहीं की, वो एक जगह पे मेरे कैमरे की बैटरी डाउन हो गई थी, तो वहाँ पे मैंने जल्दी सी बैटरी चेंज की। सिर्फ 30 सेकंड की वीडियो कट होगी, लेकिन पूरा टूर मैं रिकॉर्ड कर रहा हूँ इस बस टूर का।
You know, someone's hopping off. Yeah. You guys have a good day. There's no bus coming back, just so you know. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay.
ये लास्ट बस है, इसके बाद बस नहीं है, कल आएगी। 24 आवर्स के लिए वैलिड है।
Someone's hopping off now. Is that okay? Yeah. Sorry.
और लोग यहाँ पे उतर रहे हैं क्योंकि वो काफ़ी फेमस जगह है यहाँ पे।
Have a good day, guys.
मैंने काफ़ी सारे व्लॉग्स बनाए हुए हैं ऑलरेडी।
And up on your right, guys, it's Nathan Phillips Square where the big Toronto sign is located. Nathan Phillips Square is named after Nathan Phillips. He was one of our former mayors back in the day. He was the first mayor that we had in the city of Toronto of Jewish descent. But Nathan Phillips is credited with a vision to initiate the City Hall project. That's why I guess the City Hall is by Nathan Phillips Square. Now during the winter times, the reflective pool at Nathan Phillips Square becomes an ice rink for skating. And a lot of festivals and events happen throughout the year at Nathan Phillips Square. And up on your right, it's Osgood Hall. And coming up on your left, it's going to be the Four Seasons Center for the Performing Arts. If you guys want to experience live opera shows and live ballet shows, the Four Seasons Center for the Performing Arts on your left is a place to go. It is also home to the National Ballet School of Canada and home to the Canadian Opera Company. And up on your right, guys, you see an American flag. That is the U.S. Embassy in Toronto. There it is, the U.S. Embassy. So if there are any Americans here, want to go to the U.S. Embassy, that's where you go. So we're now on Queen West. Queen West is one of the trendiest shopping scenes in Toronto. It was voted second out of the top 15 coolest neighborhoods in the world by Vogue magazine back in 2014, after a neighborhood in Tokyo, Japan. So second out of the top 15 coolest neighborhoods in the world.
मैंने इस रेक्स होटल में स्टे किया था
So
फर्स्ट
today
टाइम
my
जब मैं
cousin was
टोरंटो
trying to do a
आया
Vin
था.
Diesel stunt move and it came out horribly wrong. He actually crashed his car, but he was able to get out safely on the east wall of a building, but he got his car stuck there. So as we go further down Queen West, we're going to see my cousin's car stuck in the east wall of a building. So up on your left, it's going to be my cousin's car stuck in the east wall of a building. Okay, I'm just joking. That's not my cousin's car, but that's one of the most striking aspects of the Bell Media Building. It's the news truck breaking out of the east wall of the Bell Media Building. Originally known as the City TV Live Eye trucks, they say whenever the wheels are spinning, the recording is happening inside the studio. And astonishingly, OCAD students from the top University of Art, Design and Media actually designed the news truck breaking out of the east wall of the Bell Media Building. The Bell Media Building is home to CTV and Much Music. It is also the headquarters of our Crave streaming network in Canada. That's why you see a lot of promotion happening outside of the building for Crave. And the Bell Media Building is named after William Bell. He is the one who created the telephone.
काफ़ी खूबसूरत बिल्डिंग है ये सामने, ऊपर ग्रीनरी भी है. ये साथ ही फिर चाइना टाउन स्टार्ट हो जाता है इसके. ये बिल्कुल डाउनटाउन है.
Now, Queen West is also a part of the Toronto Entertainment District as well. Now, as we turn on Peter Street, we're going to be entering the Toronto Entertainment District. Now, the Toronto Entertainment District, so back in the day, everything entertainment was found in one area. So this area in Toronto became the Toronto Entertainment District. This area was revitalized by Edwin Mervich, the founder of Mervich Productions, the largest theater company in North America, as he bought the Royal Alexandra Theater in 1963 and began investing in restaurants in the surrounding neighborhoods. As the neighborhood started getting more residential over the years, the nightclubs started to get banged because of loud noise. There were too many complaints around the neighborhood. Back in the 1980s, the Toronto Entertainment District was also known as Clubland of Canada. It had over 100 nightclubs running at the time. You can now find the nightclubs down south and more on the west side of King Street West. But we still have stadiums, bars, theaters, festivals, restaurants, all in the Toronto Entertainment District. A popular festival that happens every year at the Toronto Entertainment District is the Toronto International Film Festival. It is one of the largest film festivals in North America. It is also the second largest film festival in the world after the Cannes Film Festival in France. It is also the only film festival that is open to the public. So that means once you get your tickets online or in person, if there's available space, you might actually be one of the lucky ones to sit right beside the actor or right beside the director of the film. And they do this because they want to see the audience response to their films. The Toronto International Film Festival is also known as the Good Luck Film Festival because a lot of movies, once they get screened at the Toronto International Film Festival, they get to win awards, Oscars and Oscar nominations once they get released everywhere else. So last year, The Holdovers got screened at the Toronto International Film Festival, the movie Paul Giamatti. They got released everywhere else. And in 96 Academy Awards, The Holdovers won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, Divine Joy Thompson. Also, The Shape of Water got screened at the Toronto International Film Festival as well, the movie by Guillermo del Toro. and then got released everywhere else. And the Academy Awards, The Shape of Water, won a lot of Oscars, got nominated a lot, and won a lot of awards in the Academy Awards in that very own year. Now, a lot of big-time movie actors also come to the Toronto International Film Festival to promote their movies. I remember in 2019, Matt Damon came to promote his movie The Martian in 2019 at the Toronto International Film Festival. So Matt Damon was walking at the streets of the Toronto Entertainment District in that very year. So we got a bit of traffic ahead of us, guys. And straight ahead, we can also see the audience. It is an art installation up in the Rogers Center. The audience is made of fiberglass painted gold and cost $2.5 million to build. It was nicknamed the Modern Day Gargoyles because every time you would stare at the Rogers Center, at any angle, one of the statues from the audience would be staring back at you. We're seeing the west. There are two areas to the audience, one in the west end and one in the east end of the Rogers Center. We're seeing the one in the west end right now. But it completes the two areas completes 15 different statues. Each statue representing a different sports fan you can find in a sports game. So the whole point of the audience is to resemble every sports fan you can find in a sports game. So straight ahead we can see the audience.
ट्रैफिक काफ़ी ज़्यादा है। ये सीएन टावर को जाता है, वो सामने सीएन टावर का एरिया है, रॉजर्स सेंटर। तो यहाँ पे एग्ज़िबिशन चल रही है, मैं कोशिश करूँगा उसका भी एक दिन व्लॉग बनाऊँ। काफ़ी अच्छी एग्ज़िबिशन होती है, हर साल होती है टोरंटो में, तो इस वजह से काफ़ी ज़्यादा ट्रैफिक है इस एरिया में। CN Tower.
And coming up on your right, it's going to be the Tip-Out Lightbox, home of the Toronto International Film Festival Group. It has 5 cinemas. Each cinema can hold 300 to 500 seats.
तो यहाँ पर हो चुकी है 15 मिनट की ब्रेक। लोग यहाँ पे उतर के थोड़ा सीएन टावर घूम के वापस आएंगे 15 मिनट में। मैं व्लॉग को यहाँ से फिर कंटिन्यू करूँगा। मैं भी नीचे जाके एक राउंड लगा के क्विकली आता हूँ बस पे वापस। अभी कुछ 10 मिनट की ब्रेक रह चुकी है, तो सब बसेस यहाँ पे स्टॉप हो रही हैं। टूरिस्ट यहाँ पे उतर के एक जल्दी से विज़िट करते हैं सीएन टावर का और फिर वापस अपनी बस में आ जाते हैं। तो आई थिंक 7 मिनट्स रिमेनिंग है अभी, तो मैं वापस अपनी बस में जाऊँगा, वो वाली मेरी बस है। तो फिर व्लॉग को कंटिन्यू करेंगे। इसकी अराउंड $67 फ़ी है टिकट की, जो कि वैलिड होती है 24 आवर्स के लिए। लेकिन ये अभी आज के दिन की लास्ट बस है, तो दूसरी बस कल मॉर्निंग को 9 बजे फिर स्टार्ट होगी। ये सीएन टावर है जहाँ पे मैंने काफ़ी सारी पहले भी वीडियोस बनाई हैं, तो वहाँ पे मैं नहीं जाऊँगा। मैं वापस जाता हूँ अपनी बस में, अपना स्पॉट पकड़ता हूँ सबसे ऊपर टॉप पर। ओके, तो तो मैं वापस बस में आ गया हूँ अपनी स्पॉट पर। व्लॉग फिर कंटिन्यू करते हैं जहाँ से स्टॉप किया था।
So after the lights on the right-hand side, it's going to be the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. It is Canada's largest exhibition space, Canada's largest convention facility, and North America's leading convention facility, covering over 2 million square feet. It has 2 buildings, 77 meeting rooms, a lot of auditoriums, 2 ballrooms, and a 1,232-seat theater inside the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. So 2 buildings. Now it houses the Comic-Con in March. It also houses Auto Show in February, and it also houses the Fan Expo in August. So today the Fan Expo started. It's going to be happening from August 22nd to August 25th at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. That's why there's a lot of heavy traffic, because a lot of people are coming to the Fan Expo. If you guys like comic books, anime, space westerns, Star Wars, Dune, that's where you've got to go. The Fan Expo, happening from August 22nd to August 25th at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Up on your right.
आप लोग देख सकते हैं काफ़ी सारे हैं यहाँ पे एग्जीबिशन हो रही है, जिसका व्लॉग मैं कोशिश करूँगा बनाऊँ CN टावर में। तो काफ़ी सारे लोग आए हुए हैं। मैं फ्यूचर में वहाँ का एक व्लॉग भी बना के अपलोड करूँगा। चैनल पर न्यू आए हैं तो प्लीज़ चैनल को ज़रूर सब्सक्राइब कीजिएगा और कमेंट करके अपना फीडबैक भी दें, और अगर वीडियो पसंद आई हो तो लाइक भी प्रेस कर दें, लाइक का बटन। तो अभी हमारी जो टूरिस्ट की बस है वो वापस स्टार्ट हो चुकी है CN टावर से। ये वापस जाके यंग डंडा स्क्वायर पे एंड होगी बस की जो राइड है। आज मौसम काफ़ी अच्छा था, मैंने सोचा मैं इसका व्लॉग बनाता हूँ। इससे पहले कि विंटर्स आ जाए, फिर विंटर में इस तरह व्लॉग बनाना बहुत मुश्किल होता है। बस के ऊपर ठंडी हवा चलती है। तो अभी क्योंकि समर ऑलमोस्ट एंड हो रहा है, टोरंटो में विंटर्स आने वाली हैं, तो ये मौसम परफेक्ट था इस छत वाली व्लॉग बनाने का बस पर, जो कि विंटर्स में बिल्कुल भी पॉसिबल नहीं होता। बंदा ग्लव्स के बगैर बस के ऊपर फिर खड़ा नहीं हो सकता। काफ़ी सारे लोग हैं, एग्जीबिशन के लिए आए हुए हैं। तो इस एरिया में काफ़ी ट्रैफिक होता है, स्पेशली शाम के टाइम, इस टाइम 6-7 बजे।
And just so you guys, this is the last bus, so if you hop off anywhere, there won't be another bus coming back. Just another reminder. Pardon?
Just stopping at the
Distillery District.
So yeah, we're going to go to the 16, and after that we end at 1. We end at Yonge and Dundas Square, yes. Yes. Okay. And coming up on your right, guys, it's going to be the Intercontinental Hotel. This is a hotel where a lot of big-time politicians and presidents, when they come to Toronto, they would stay in because it has a bulletproof suite, and it's the only hotel in Toronto with a bulletproof suite. So Presidents of Barack Obama, George W. Bush have all stayed at the Intercontinental Hotel at one time. That reminds me a lot of the Continental Hotel from the John Wick series. Both of the names rhyme, Intercontinental, the Continental. I promise you guys, there will not be any shooting inside though. All right, guys, we're going to be passing a bridge, so please remain seated. Do not stand up. Also, try not to touch the rooftop of the bridge. There might be sharp objects or rust. You never know. We are clear to pass the bridge. We are clear. We are still clear to pass the bridge. And coming up on your right, guys, it is the one and only, the CN Tower. The CN Tower is 553 meters tall. It is 1,815 feet high. It has 1,776 steps to the top. The glass elevator of the CN Tower takes 58 seconds to top. That's a very fast glass elevator, less than a minute. Construction of the CN Tower started on February 6, 1973, but it did not open until June 6, 1976. It took us over 3 years to complete the CN Tower, 3 years and a couple months. When it first opened in 1976, so it was the tallest tower in the world, and was the tallest tower in the world for some time. But after that, many towers have been built throughout the years, and it's now the third tallest tower in the world, stands at number 3. But it's the tallest freestanding structure in Canada in the Western Hemisphere. Now, the CN Tower was built as a telecommunications tower. That's why when it was a telecommunications tower, it stood for Canadian National Tower. But after it became a tourist attraction, it now stands for Canada's National Tower. Now, my favorite of the CN Tower has to be the glass floors, because the glass floors can withstand up to 15 deer. Now, a very popular activity that you can find that you can do at the CN Tower is edge walk. It is exactly what it sounds like. You're edge walking at the edge of the CN Tower. There'll be a rope holding onto your chest area, so it's completely safe. But you get an amazing view of the city that way by doing edge walk. It is very popular in the summer and spring seasons of the year, edge walk. Now, a very fancy restaurant that you can find at the CN Tower is the 360 revolving restaurant. It revolves around you, giving you beautiful views of the city. But it is a reservation-only restaurant. You can only reserve it at the CN Tower website. And coming up on your right, it's going to be the Ripley's Aquarium of Canada, the largest aquarium in Canada with over 20,000 aquatic animals, and the largest viewing glass tunnel in North America. Is anyone going to be hopping off above Tunnel 12 for the CN Tower Ripley? Anyone hopping off? No? All right, no stop requests. And up on your left, it's the Toronto Railway Museum, part of the Steam Whistle Brewing Company that we can find straight ahead as well. This is where they brew the steam whistle beer, but they also have an event space, a pub, and a restaurant inside the building. The Toronto Railway Museum up on your left are the original trains of Toronto. This is the original railway of Toronto. And up on your right, it's Rogers Centre, home to our Major League Baseball team, the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays is our only Major League Baseball team in Canada right now, so it's basically the best team and the worst team at the same time, yeah. Back in the day, it used to be the Toronto Blue Jays and the Montreal Expo, but now the Montreal Expo, they do not exist anymore. They got moved to Washington and became the Washington Nationals. That's what happened to them. That's why Toronto Blue Jays is our only Major League Baseball team in Canada right now. Now, before it changed its name to the Rogers Centre, it was formerly known as Sky Dome, and it opened in 1989. But it was formerly known as Sky Dome because of its dome, its retractable rooftop that we can find at the rooftop of the Rogers Centre. It takes 20 minutes to open and 20 minutes to close, and you can interfere with the process in between. So let's say someone accidentally opens it and they need it closed. They gotta wait 20 minutes until it fully opens, and then another 20 minutes until it fully closest because you cannot interfere with the process in between. When they had just first launched the dome of the Rogers Center, it was a Blue Jays game at the time, and people were so excited having people were so excited of having a retractable rooftop that they were screaming, "Open the dome! Open the dome!" So we opened the dome. But because it was our first time using it, we forgot to check one thing. We forgot to check the weather, and it turns out that it was raining and pouring really hard that day. And you gotta wait 20 minutes until it fully opens, and then another 20 minutes until it fully closes because you can interfere with the process in between. So within those 40 minutes, people got soaked and wet. That's why for every Blue Jays game that we have nowadays, we will have a weatherman or a weatherwoman predicting the weather. We learned from our mistakes. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays, they would not exist if it weren't for the San Francisco Giants. Back in the day, the San Francisco Giants, they were doing really poorly, so they were planning to move them to the city of Toronto. So Toronto created this whole infrastructure to receive the baseball team. We spent quite a bit of money on it. But at the last minute, the San Francisco Giants decided to stay in the U.S. So Toronto had already created this whole infrastructure. We already now no baseball team was coming anymore. So what we did was we made our own, and we named it after a blue jay, a bird that is happening to the area. And the Blue Lebac drink was one of the sponsors, and that's how the Toronto Blue Jays were born. So we're now entering the harborfront area of Toronto. Now this whole area did not exist 70 years ago. 70 years ago, Front Street was actually the first street of Toronto coming from Lake Ontario. That's why it was called Front Street. But now 70 years have gone by, we have a huge new area in Toronto known as the harborfront. It's to show how much Toronto has grown as a city. And what we did was we sunk the basin. Once the basin was sunk, we started covering with sand and we started building from there. But it was a huge process. It took us from 40 to 50 years to complete the harborfront. That's why you see some of the buildings are going to be fairly new. Now coming up on your right, there's a very special washroom in the harborfront. This is one of the two washrooms that you can find in the harborfront. No other washrooms like this in the city of Toronto. That little green washroom that we're passing by. But in order to use the washroom, you gotta give 25 cents to use it, and it'll give you 20 minutes to fully do your thing. But you gotta finish within those 20 minutes though, because if you don't, the doors will automatically open and you'll get exposed to the world. But who needs 20 minutes, right? But you never know. So be wary of using the green washroom on your right that we just passed by. And up on your right, in the distance, we can see the Billy Bishop Commercial Airport. That's the smallest commercial airport in Canada, located at the island of Hanglands Point. And coming up on your right, if you guys want to get your phones ready, it's going to be a very beautiful view of Lake Ontario with the Toronto Islands. So up on your right, the beautiful view of Lake Ontario with the Toronto Islands. There it is. Is anyone hopping off at bus stop number 13 for the harborfront? Anyone hopping off? No? All right, no stop request, but I believe downstairs we have our supervisor hopping off. All right, guys, and here it is. Just be right back. So just so you know, guys, I know there's more people, but last bus of the day, we're going to be ending at bus stop number 1, Yonge and Dundas Square. Now there are 15 different islands, Toronto Islands, but the 3 major islands that we see from here are Wards Island, Center Island, and Hanglands Point. Now Center Island is the most popular of the 3 islands because that is where most of the beaches are and where most people go to when visiting the Toronto Islands. It is the most touristic island of the 3. They even have an amusement park on Center Island called Centerville that is only open in the summer and spring seasons of the year. Now Now, Rhodes Island is considered to be the most residential island of the three islands, but people live all around the Toronto Islands, not just Rhodes Island. But Rhodes Island is considered to be the most residential because they have a lot of small residential areas, a lot of homes, even schools there. Now, if you guys are ever interested in getting a home on the Toronto Islands, so there is a waiting list, but unfortunately the waiting list is 100 years. Now coming up on your right, it's Lake Ontario that we see. Lake Ontario is part of the 5 Great Lakes of North America. Now in order to remember the 5 Great Lakes of North America, you just have to think of one word, one acronym. And the hint of what that one word is, where do we all live in? Does anyone know where the one word is? Where do we all live in? That's the hint. No? So the word is actually homes. Because if you need to take another water taxi coming back, that will be another $15 per person. So up on your right, we can see those water taxis. So we're now on Queens Quay Street. A lot of tourists, when they come to Toronto, they will pronounce Queens Quay as Queens Quay. Both pronunciations are correct, of course. We say Queens Quay, but we mean you're a tourist when you say Queens Quay. Same thing goes for Toronto. A lot of tourists, when they come to Toronto, they pronounce Toronto as Toronto with the hard T. We pronounce it with a silent T, Toronto. That's why the silent T of Toronto now stands for tourist. Yeah. And a huge reason why it's with the silent T and not a hard T is because the Toronto actually comes from a native word, from the native tongue, from the Inuit tribe, meaning place. And up on your right, in the distance, so we can see the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal. That's where you can take a ferry to the Toronto Islands. Now, a ferry costs $9 and change to get to Toronto Islands. But coming back, it's free, so you only have to spend one time, $9 and change. Now, Toronto Islands are open all year long, so the access to the ferry is open all year long. In the winter times, the ferry can only go as far as Rhodes Island, though. Now, straight ahead, we can see the Scotiabank Arena. The Scotiabank Arena is home to our NHL hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's also home to our NBA basketball team, the Toronto Raptors. In 2019, the Toronto Raptors, so they won the NBA championship, so it's a very happy time for the city of Toronto, seeing our team after a long time. The Toronto Maple Leafs, however, have not been doing so well. They have a total of 13 Stanley Cups, but their last Stanley Cup that they won was in 1967. So it's been over 50 years the Toronto Maple Leafs have now won a Stanley Cup. We're always hopeful, there's always someday. Back in the day, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they would play in the Maple Leaf Gardens. That's why it was called the Maple Leaf Gardens, because it was named after the Toronto Maple Leafs. But after a certain time, they needed a much more bigger venue, so that's why they moved to the Scotiabank Arena. At the time, the Scotiabank Arena was formerly known as the Air Canada Centre. And we actually had 3 national teams play in the Scotiabank Arena. Now we only have 2, the Toronto Raptors and the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is because our lacrosse team, the Toronto Rock, they got moved to Hamilton, and they now play in the First Ontario Centre in Hamilton. All right, we're going to be getting a bridge. Please remain seated. Do not stand up. Do not stand up, guys. We're going to be getting a bridge. Please remain seated. We are clear to pass the bridge. Up on your left, that's Scotiabank Arena, and up on your right, our CIBC headquarters, our CIBC Bank, one of the 5 major banks in Canada, the 5th largest bank in Canada. All right, we're still clear. Now, the 2 national sports of Canada are hockey and lacrosse. Hockey is our winter national sport, where lacrosse is our summer national sport. Kind of funny because basketball and baseball are definitely bigger than lacrosse, while lacrosse is our summer national sport. So we're now at the financial district of Canada, the financial heart of Canada, home to our major banks and most prominent firms. Now, after the lights on the left-hand side, it's the Royal Bank Plaza building, and it's headquarters of the Royal Bank of Canada, the largest bank in Canada. And all 14,000 windows of the Royal Bank Plaza building are coated with a layer of 24-karat gold, also known as the Golden Building as well. It consists of 2 towers. It's built between 1976 and 1979. And up on your left, it's Union Station, the busiest transportation hub in Canada, serving around 300,000 visitors approximately. And up on your left, it's the TD Canada Trust Towers, headquarters for TD Bank, TD Canada Trust, 2nd largest bank in Canada. It stands for Toronto Dominion bag, so it's a Toronto-based bag. So it's from Toronto. And up on your right, the Great Concourse Hall, part of Union Station. Union Station was built between 1916 and 1920, but it did not open until 1927. You got some. And coming up on your left, guys, it's our very own Hockey Hall of Fame. Our Hockey Hall of Fame is where you can find the highest amount of hockey memorabilia in North America. It's also home to one of our oldest Zambonis. You can even do virtual activities where you can play a virtual player or a virtual goalie at the Hockey Hall of Fame. So anyone going to be hopping up at Puff 14? We got some downstairs. I believe they're going up Puff 14. The Hockey Hall of Fame is also home to the Tim Hortons Theater. They dedicate a lot to Tim Hortons because Tim Hortons used to be a professional hockey player. They played for defense before he opened his first coffee shop. He was one of the last players to see the Toronto Maple Leafs lift their last Stanley Cups in 1967. One of the oldest concert venues in the city of Toronto. AC/DC, John Lennon, the Beatles, Duran Duran, Madonna have all performed at Massey Hall one time. And straight ahead we can also see the Toronto Eaton Centre, the busiest mall in Canada. A lot of people think the Toronto Eaton Centre is the largest mall in Canada, but that's not true. The largest mall in Canada goes to the West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton, Alberta. The Toronto Eaton Centre comes a close second, of course. Definitely the largest mall in the city of Toronto, but just not in Canada. Second largest in Canada. So we're going to be using Victoria Street. Once you guys hop off, everything is going to be on your left side. Yonge Street, Yonge and Dundas Square, our booth, Toronto Eaton Centre, all on your left side. Up on your left, the Admiral's Theatre. All right, guys, to the people leaving us, thank you so much for joining the tour. We hope you have an amazing day in the city of Toronto. If you guys really like the tour and would like to thank us in a special way, we do have a tip jar downstairs by the bus store. And here it is, bus stop number 1 for Yonge and Dundas Square, Victoria Street, the back side. All right, it is now safe to hop off, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Enjoy, guys.
फ्रेंड्स ये तो था सिटी साइट सीइंग टोरंटो बस का टूर, हॉप ऑन हॉप ऑफ वाला टूर। उम्मीद है आपको वीडियो पसंद आई होगी। अगर पसंद आई हो तो प्लीज़ अपना कमेंट करके ओपिनियन भी ज़रूर दीजिएगा और वीडियो को लाइक भी ज़रूर कीजिएगा और चैनल पर न्यू है तो उसको सब्सक्राइब भी ज़रूर कीजिएगा। मैं कोशिश करूँगा टोरंटो में इसी तरह की और वीडियोस आपके लिए लेके आऊँ और भी मैं कोशिश करूँगा काफ़ी सारे एरियाज़ को मैं कवर करूँ टोरंटो में। ये क्या हो गया मेरे साथ तो ये वापस में आ गया हूँ यंग डंडास स्क्वायर पे। यहाँ से ये बसेस चलती हैं तो अपना बहुत सारा ख्याल रखिएगा। अपने लिए नहीं तो उनके लिए, जॉब के लिए अपना ख्याल रखते हैं। टेक केयर, यल्ला बाय।